Hey guys, how's it going? Comparing here. So, tomorrow, in less than 24 hours, Path of Exile will have its official launch. Now, if you know what Path of Exile is about, all that, probably what I'm going to mention in this video is largely irrelevant. But there's a lot of people that, have caught on to the Crip stream and the Crip YouTube and all that with the Hearthstone action, and they don't really know what other games that I play. Well, Path of Exile is a game that you can play today if you want. Right now it's an open beta, and tomorrow it will be launched. It will be a game, essentially a finished product, but it is a game where, if you've played it, you'll realize that the developers, update the game a lot. The game is unique in fact that it's a lot like Diablo 2, but it's modernized. It has a lot of really cool ideas, and it is a free-to-play game. It is a free game. You just download the game, you make an account for free, you play for free. There is no pay anything unless you want additional features, but the features don't really give you any direct advantage in the game. The biggest advantage that you can really get through the microtransactions, as they call them, is the extra stash space. And yes, stash space can be limited if you don't pay for additional tabs, but because making an account is free, you can just make tons of accounts and store your stuff that way. It's a bit inconvenient, but it has its advantages as well. On to the actual game, I just want to show you guys some concepts of what's cool about the game, how it works, because a lot of people have asked me, what it's about, how it works, and all that. So I'll give you guys my take. There's other videos you can check on the web about this stuff, but I figure a lot of people are going to be curious towards what I'm doing, so I might as well give them my take on it. So this is a character I've had in Path of Exile. It is in the Hardcore League, meaning that it has never died. But should that scenario occur, I will be transferred to the Standard League. And what that means is, instead of dying and losing your character in, let's say, Diablo 2, you die and your character gets transferred to Softcore, essentially, is what happens. And the Softcore is like the dumping ground. So ultimately everything goes to the Standard League. And the economy and all that stuff is going to be really, really different there. And as a result, it's a little bit more interesting to stay in the Hardcore League. It's definitely a way better way to play. And even if it's your first time playing the game, I do recommend playing this way. Everything is going to feel different, everything is going to matter, and I think you'll be a better player as such. As far as the actual game, it's a lot like Diablo 2. The mechanics are the same, moving your character is very similar, but it's been modernized. My character is 92, you kill stuff, you get experience, there's the stats. The stats show up on gear, for instance, dexterity. Bunch of other stats that you've seen in other Diablo-like games, action RPGs, all that, crit chance, crit multiplier. There's a lot of things that are unique about the game, though. When you level up, you gain a few things. You gain a few more hit points, a few more mana points, and a skill point. And the skill point is used on the passive skill tree. Now, this skill tree will be different when you log in the game in any time after tomorrow, because on the launch of the game, there's going to be a lot of updates. And as such, there is no better time to start playing this game. Because, yes, other people have their advantages, but there's going to be new leagues. It's kind of like a new ladder, and there's going to be new rule sets, new builds, new gems, new everything. So much so that people who've actually been playing for a really long time don't really have that much of an advantage. At least the difference will be smaller than ever tomorrow. So the skill tree is unique in that all the classes are on it. So I am a Marauder. And if I was any other class, I'd just start at a different spot. So if I played a Witch, I would start here. These would be my first two nodes. But as a Marauder, I can choose between the health node and the melee damage node. And there are some, small things like life, percent life, and your character gets stronger and stronger a little bit by little bit. But there are some really big nodes. I don't really know if I have any of them on this character, but I can show you nonetheless. Let's say, oh, here we go, Hexmaster. Curses you cast never expire, as opposed to expiring after a few seconds. And you can get stuff like Elvish Battery, converts all energy shield into mana, which kind of means that you'll have a crap load of mana, but you'll have a lower survivability. And Chaos Inoculation reduces your life to 1. meaning that you only have energy shield as life. There's a lot of mechanics. The game is extremely complex. If I was to explain the game all in one video, we'd be here for hours. But the basic concept is that as your character levels, you get these points, you put in the points, and that makes your character stronger. So you choose which strengths you want to amplify as you level your character, and that's what's really important. Now, this character is a spellcaster. You can make a melee character, but I'll just show you guys the spellcaster as an example. My primary skill is Freezing Pulse, and it's linked with 5 other support gems. There's 2 types of gems in this game. There's the Freeze Pulse, which is, an example of a spell type is Freeze Pulse. And another example of a support type is, let's say, Blood Magic. So you spend life instead of mana to cast supported skills. So the skill is as such. I use up my life to cast it, and it pumps up a wave of frost. And if I take out the Blood Magic gem, it consumes mana. And then you can see I don't have much mana, but I have a crap load of life, so that's why I choose to use that support gem. If I were to use Freeze Pulse without anything, it's just, a fairly unimpressive 1 beam. It's using Blood Magic right now just because the mana pool in this character sucks. But you can amplify your skills with stuff like Life Leech, so even though I consume life to cast the spell, I gain life when I actually damage something. I have greater multiple projectiles, so instead of 1 little beam, I have 4 additional beams. And obviously there's a damage penalty, so everything has a bonus and a drawback, but often enough you'll find yourself comparing the bonuses rather than the drawbacks. Cold Pen, so if the targets have cold resistance, I can do much more damage than I would otherwise without the gem. And increased critical damage, because this is a character that's based on amplifying my damage through crit chance and crit multiplier. This is a pretty dangerous way to do things in this game, because the reflect mechanic is quite an important part. While I may not encounter a monster too frequently, but when I do, that has elemental reflect, I'm going to take a lot of damage if I crit a large pack, because reflect is like an aura. So the more monsters in one area with the aura, if you're using an AoE attack, you're going to take a lot of damage. So this is a very dangerous type of character to play, but it's pretty fun. Overall, what separates this game in terms of how far it's pushed itself ahead of other games is the fact that the currency is so unique. So currency in this game is all about items, and acquiring items is pretty much a good part of the game for a lot of people. There's all these currencies. They all have different uses. They're all practical, and they all have different rarities and different valuations. So for instance, the Exalted Orb, this is one of the most valuable currencies. It's not the most valuable, but it's very rare. Some people have actually not found one of these since playing the game, but I've been fortunate enough to find quite a lot of them. Exalted Orb enchants a rare item with a new random property. So all these things, what they do is they modify items. So, for instance, if you take a look at my staff, it's a unique staff, and it has 6 sockets, and they're all linked up. So if you wanted, you could get the base, which is a Maelstrom staff, which is a white item. You could get that, pretty easily, and you could use a Chance Orb to upgrade a normal item into a random rarity. If you get really lucky, you'll get one of these Terran Shivers. Now let's say you get your Terran Shivers, you're going to want to use Jeweler Orbs, reforge the number of sockets on an item, and probably after you use about 200 or 300 of them, you're going to get 6 sockets. Once you get 6 sockets, you're going to want to link up those sockets. And if you want to be ambitious enough to attempt to go for a 6 linked item, you're going to have to acquire Orbs of Fusings in the quantities of 500 to about 1,000, which is a pretty crazy number. People tend to play for weeks, even months, to acquire that amount of one such valuable currency and attempt to 6-link your item. And if you're lucky enough, bam, 6-link Terran Shiver. Unique items in this game are really cool, but they're not really the end-all be-all. You can, have a character full of rare items, but the options in this game are pretty much endless. You can make a character and, augment your main skill with a variety of supports in a variety of different ways, and essentially have like a character project, which is really, really cool. I think that the one factor that really makes me play Path of Exile again and again is that when things in the game change, they allow for more and new and interesting possibilities with the skills and how you can design a character. And I really love the feeling of, putting in conceptual idea of a character and then actually making it and then seeing how successful it is in the end game. The end game in Path of Exile is extreme. It's very difficult to get to level 100. In fact, I believe only 5 or 6 people have done it since the open beta reset, which was quite some time ago. We are actually approaching a year. And leveling is done through endgame maps. And endgame maps, while I don't know if I could show you guys many examples, for instance, this is a Jungle Valley map. It is a level 72 map, which is reasonably high level. You would use the currencies to modify an item, let's say for instance like Terran's Shiver, modifying its rarity. You modify the rarity of the map because increasing the rarity will give you more drops out of that map, although making it much harder. But you can only get high-level maps from other high-level maps. And to climb the high-level map ladder, you essentially have to do very difficult maps, and you have to spend a lot of currency doing it. And you also have to keep in mind that if you're playing hardcore, you can't die. So there's a lot of things that work. The endgame is amazing. The game overall, since playing it in the 1-week turbo, I've actually found a lot of the issues that I previously had with the game in terms of, being a little bit boring after I've played it for, over a year, and the other being the desync stuff. I found those things to be, not quite as prevalent as the previous time where I played, so I was pretty happy, and I'm going to be really excited, probably ecstatic to play tomorrow when the game gets essentially released. So if you want to check it out, I'll include links to the website. There isn't any other super huge fan websites. Most of the information that you're going to see, that you're going to want to look into, is either going to be on the main PoE page and the PoE Reddit page. So you guys can check that out if you're interested. And if you guys are curious what the fuck I'm doing for the next week or two, or possibly longer than that, it's going to be this. So if you guys check it out, I'll see you guys in the game.